So let's talk about Friday the 13th. So, there were rumors circulating that after Brian Fuller, did he quit or was he, I think he was fired because A24, I guess they said that the budget ballooned. Like they were paying almost $100 million for a TV show. And I'm like, that's crazy, especially when you're doing something that is as simplistic as a slasher movie. Slasher movies should never be expensive. Like when you look at any kind of slasher movie, they keep it on a small budget, especially if you're doing Blumhouse. And don't get me wrong, Blumhouse, y'all be hit and miss with a lot of stuff. More miss than hit. I live more for Neon and A24. Y'all be giving me my life in regards to the quality. And I've always thought that the good thing I've always loved about A24 is they've always been able to figure out how to make quality movies on a tiny budget. Speaking of which, this shot me also. I don't know which company they are. I don't know if it's A24 or Neon, but that Long Legs movie, I need to see that. Because I just heard they crossed $100 million at the box office. I'm like, when did this happen? Like, I didn't even know that movie was doing that well. I know there was a lot of word of mouth and a lot of people were talking about it, but I had no idea that movie quietly did what it did. Like, it crossed over $100 million. And I think maybe it's because everybody was talking about Deadpool and Wolverine and all this drama I'm still confused about with Blake Lively and that man who she tried to hijack his damn film. And then recently, Alien Romulus did fairly well at the box office. It dethroned, and rightfully so, Deadpool and Wolverine. So with Friday the 13th, I was sitting up in here like, how the hell did y'all let this shit balloon to damn near $100 million? Like, that don't make sense. And so the thing was put to the side. I was like hoping and praying that we could still get this thing on track. And so this morning, I received a post from Robert, friend to the show, from Bloody Disgusting, saying that they have found themselves a new showrunner. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, because I've heard people saying, oh, no, they canceled it. And I'm like, I haven't heard anything like that unless Deadline or any of the major trades are announcing it, especially the horror movie website, that I pay attention to, especially like Bloody Disgusting, which I mentioned. Then that's the only way I'm believing any of this stuff. So I hadn't heard anything. I thought that they were just going to take their time, figure out who they can get to run the show, and then they'll deal with what they need to deal with. But I didn't think that it was dead in the water, pun intended. So now we have, Bloody Disgusting reported this morning, and now I'm going to go to the Deadline article. Please hold. And we're going to read it as a class. So yeah, Deadline officially did the story, so we're just going to take from them. So apparently this says Brad Caleb Kane set as the new showrunner for Peacock's Friday the 13th prequel series. Now, for those who are unfamiliar who he actually is the showrunner for Welcome to Derry, which is the It prequel that we're supposed to be getting this fall on HBO Max. I know it's called Max, but it's a stupid ass name. I still call it HBO Max. I dead name stuff if I don't like it. I won't do that to the people, but I'll do it to, things. Like, I'm not even going to read that foolishness about Trump talking about Taylor Swift is endorsing his campaign, because that's a damn lie. But anyway, so let's get to this article. So it says Crystal Lake, Peacock's upcoming Friday the 13th prequel series from Studio A24 has found its new showrunner in Brad Caleb Kane, who, like I said, is the showrunner behind the upcoming It Welcome to Derry. In addition to showrunning, Kane will serve as the series creator, writer, and executive producer. He assumes the reins from Brian Fuller, who was behind Hannibal, which I think most people are familiar with. Star Trek Discovery, I watched a couple of episodes, but I really couldn't get into it. I actually liked Strange New Worlds more than Star Trek Discovery. And I used to have my ex-roommate, we used to get into these debates about Star Trek. So, I actually like Strange New Worlds more or less than Discovery. And Discovery is done. So I guess now he can come into that. And I'm assuming that they're finished with Welcome to Derry. So now he can focus on this. But should Welcome to Derry get a season 2, who are they going to get to show run that? That's what I'm curious about. Unless he's going to be on doing 2 shows, which I guess can happen because if Ryan Murphy and all them can come out here and have like 6, 7 damn shows on TV and you're a showrunner of a lot of those shows, then I guess you could do it. So anyway, let's get to this. So it says that they said he confirmed his exit from the project in May, noting that A24 elected to go a different way with the material. First announced in October 2022, Crystal Lake's plot specifics are being kept under wraps. In addition, it came exec producers on the series include A24’s Victor Miller, who wrote the screenplay for the original film, Miller's copyright attorney Mark Toberoff, Robert M. Barsamian, and Robert P. Barsamian. Are they related? Meaning, siblings. Not siblings, but like father, son, or maybe brothers. First of all, I would kill my parents if they gave me the same name if we were brothers. But obviously, if y'all got the same damn name, first and last, y'all related in some sort of way. The project will mark A24’s first major IP-driven project amid a recent effort to expand in a more commercial direction. They said, quote, "From the moment I watched Jason Voorhees squeeze a guy's eyeball out of his socket," of course, that was Friday the 13th Part 3, the 3D one, "at the tender age of 8 years old, I knew my creative path was someday destined to converge with the man behind the mask," said Kane in a statement on his Crystal Lake hiring. "Nothing defined my childhood more than growing up in the golden age of the slasher flick, and nothing's defined the genre more than Friday the 13th. I couldn't be more excited for the opportunity to contribute a chapter of this iconic franchise, particularly with such fearless partners as Peacock and A24. Now, this has got me wondering, because they're talking about this. Does this mean that are they focusing on Pamela still? Because I remember, like, in the original one that they were doing with Brian Fuller, the focus was more or less going to be on, it was a prequel sort of saying, like, Jason as a kid when he was in the camp in the 1950s. And Pamela Voorhees was working at the camp and all this craziness was ensuing. I also wonder if not Betsy Palmer, the Adrienne King, who was in the original final girl who was killed off in part 2 in the opening sequence, there were photos of her on set of the original show. So I do wonder if she's going to be asked to come back, or are they going in a completely different direction? And it's like, y'all wiping the slate clean. You're not even going to use the footage that Brian already shot, or you're not even going to use any of the scripts that were already written that Judge is going to go. He's going to come in and maybe just start from scratch. So I'm actually curious as to what is the direction. Also, do they have the right to use Jason? Because if you're saying that Victor Miller is on board, he was the one who wrote the original script. Now, Jason doesn't show up until part 2. Yeah, you see him at the end when he comes out of the water, and that was like a last effect thing. But Jason doesn't appear until the sequel as an adult. I know, suspension of disbelief. I don't know how the hell somebody died and drowned and then become an adult in the sequel. Make that make sense. But, we suspend our disbelief in horror films. We don't try to think too heavily into it. And then part 3, it was when he got the hockey mask. So I do wonder how they're going to bring all this in, because is that lawsuit still going on between, Sean S. Cunningham and Victor Miller, where it was just like, okay, who owns Jason? Who owns Pamela? That sort of thing. I hope they work that out, because I don't have all that information in front of me right now where I would even know if, who owns what and who's allowing people to do whatever they can. I'm like, can y'all just settle the shit and just y'all both get a piece of the damn pie, just so that way us Friday the 13th fans can finally get us a good series or movie or whatever, because I do want a Friday the 13th movie. It's been too damn long. It's been over 15 years since we've seen Jason on our big screens. I know some people have mixed feelings on it, but I like the Friday the 13th remake with Jared Padalecki. I enjoyed it. I like the idea that they made him a little more, scary, and it was a more dark and grittier, which kind of was presenting of the times. I'm trying to think of how to say it. Presentative. It was basically the times, because when them movies came out in like 2000s, 2010s, whatever the case was, a lot of the movies were kind of like had like this dark grit to it. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then you had Friday the 13th. You had all those type of films, especially when Dark Dunes was Planet Dune, I think, was a production company. The one that Platinum Dunes, that's what it was. I knew it was something, which was a subsidiary of oh my god, what's his name? The one that makes all those terrible Michael Bay. He had like his own little horror subsidiary where he would make a lot of scary films. And I actually like that Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Jessica Biel, and I like the Friday the 13th remake. So, and it had like that grit to it, because I think like at the time it was just a dark period, and that the movies were a little more aggressive in that way. So I hope they kind of bring that energy to this. So I feel like it's a good start that we have somebody who's coming in, that they've found themselves a new showrunner. I am curious as to um how welcome to dairy actually is. I hope it doesn't suck, because if it does, I'm gonna be mad. I did like it. I will always love the original one with Tim Curry, the TV movie, but I actually enjoyed Andy Muschietti's it as well, with Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise the Clown, who is making an appearance in the series. So I'm actually curious, and I'm not putting none past HBO. HBO really has a great track record in regards to their television shows. They don't always hit it out of the park, but for the most part, 9 times out of 10, they're similar to Apple TV in regards to, like, they usually never miss when it comes to their shows. A lot of their shows are on point and good quality, and I'm actually excited to see what they're going to do with that. So once I see this Welcome to Dairy series, when it airs sometime in the fall, I don't know exactly what the date is, then I'll probably be more at ease and be like, okay, so now y'all cooking with gas, and I'm actually trusting that y'all will do this Friday the 13th prequel series justice. So I say all this to say, what do y'all think of this news? I mean, there's not a whole lot that's come out about Friday the 13th and this upcoming Crystal Lake series. I am interested in seeing what they're planning on doing with it. How much of a role is Jason going to play in it? Are they still going to have Pamela a part of the franchise? And what is the goal? Is it have they changed it from, like, it's not going to be in the 50s anymore? Is it going to be modern day? I actually hope they bring it into modern day. It'd be so much fun. Just keep it simple. Have a bunch of kids at a camp. Give them, like, interesting backstories. Take more of the Alien Romulus approach. Let us get to know the characters and feel for them. So when you start killing people off, we feel a little bad for them. So I'm hoping that's where they go with that. But the only way we'll know is once more tea comes out about the story, and more and once they get to start filming and all the other, like, once more information comes out, we'll know, and then I'll bring it to you guys here. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below.